my back blown out in peace. You think I got time to talk about a divorce that's a year old?
It started out like any other day in Teyana Taylor's world, but the air between her and Aaron Pierre was different. It wasn't the loud, obvious kind of tension, it was the quiet kind. The kind you can't see but can feel in the room. The kind that makes you second-guess every word you say. For weeks, there had been whispers between them, tiny cracks showing in moments that used to be filled with laughter. But this time, those cracks split wide open. Teyana had been thinking about it for a while. This wasn't some impulsive, heat-of-the-moment decision. She's a mother before anything else, and her children have always been her first priority. She had watched Aaron grow close to them over time. There were family outings, school plays, birthday celebrations where Aaron was right there beside her. From the outside looking in, it seemed like he had stepped into the role naturally. But deep down, Teyana wasn't sure if his commitment ran as deep as it needed to. So one night, after dinner, when the kids were in their rooms and the house was finally quiet, she brought it up. She explained the situation calmly. There were some legal documents that needed his signature. Something that would make things smoother for school forms, doctor visits, and other situations where a parental figure's consent might be required. It wasn't about replacing their father. It wasn't even about ownership. It was about security. About making sure her kids had the protection and stability they deserved. But the moment the words left her mouth, Aaron's entire demeanor shifted. He leaned back, crossed his arms, and let out a short, humorless laugh. "I'm not signing anything," he said flatly, like the decision had already been made long before she even asked. Teyana blinked, caught off guard by how fast he shot it down. "Aaron, I'm not asking you to adopt them. This is just," he cut her off. "I heard you, and I said no. They're not my kids. That's not my responsibility." The words hit her like a punch to the chest. She had braced herself for hesitation, maybe even a need for more information, but not for that. Not for the coldness in his voice. She tried to keep her composure, to ask him why he felt so strongly against it, but he was already on the defensive. He started pacing, shaking his head, muttering about how he didn't want to get tied down in ways that could backfire. The conversation spiraled from there. What started as a calm discussion quickly turned into raised voices. Teyana felt cornered. She had always believed they were building a future together, and now it seemed like Aaron was drawing a line between himself and her family. She reminded him of all the times he had shown up for the kids, all the ways he'd been part of their lives. "You've been there for every important moment," she said. "So, why is this so different?" But Aaron's stance didn't budge. "Because once you sign something like that, you can't take it back," he replied. "And I'm not about to lock myself into something I'm not 100% sure about." It wasn't just the words, it was the way he said them. No hesitation, no regret, just certainty. That night, they barely spoke after the fight. Teyana sat in the living room long after he went to bed, staring at the unsigned papers on the coffee table. To her, those papers weren't just about legalities. They were about commitment, about trust, about building a life where her kids would never have to question where they stood. The next morning, the tension was impossible to ignore. Aaron acted like nothing had happened, moving through the house in his usual rhythm. But Teyana couldn't shake the heaviness in her chest. She didn't even have to tell her friends something was wrong. They could hear in her voice when she called them later that day. Some friends were blunt. "Girl, he knew you had kids when he got with you. If he's serious about you, he should be serious about them." Others took a more neutral stance, saying maybe Aaron just needed time to think it over. But her closest confidants didn't mince words. They saw his refusal as a red flag. The story didn't stay between them for long. It never does when it comes to people in the spotlight. Soon, whispers began surfacing online. Fans noticed Teyana's energy shift in recent appearances. She wasn't posting as much with Aaron. Pictures that used to show all four of them, her, Aaron, and the kids, started disappearing from her feed. Then came the Instagram post that sent everyone into overdrive. A simple black background with the words, "If you love me, you love all of me." No tags, no context, but everyone knew. The comments exploded. Some fans flooded her with messages of support, saying she deserved someone who would embrace every part of her life. Others defended Erin, saying being in a relationship doesn't automatically mean taking on legal responsibilities for someone else's children. Twitter became a battlefield. Hashtag Stepdad drama and hashtag Erin said no trended as people debated the situation. Some shared personal stories of step-parents who stepped up without hesitation. Others talked about the pressure and risks that come with signing any kind of guardianship papers. The discourse was heated, and it was clear that no one was holding back their opinions. While the internet argued, things between Tayana and Erin only grew more strained. There were fewer public sightings of them together. When they did appear in the same place, their body language spoke volumes. No hand-holding, no lingering eye contact, just a polite distance that felt nothing like the couple fans were used to seeing. Insiders began leaking more details. Apparently, this wasn't the first time the topic had come up. Tayana had hinted about it months ago, but Erin had brushed it off. At the time, she thought he just needed space to think. Now, she was realizing his mind might have been made up all along. To make matters worse, Tayana's family was reportedly furious. Her mother, who has always been vocal about protecting her daughter and grandchildren, allegedly told her point-blank, "If he can't see himself as part of this family, then he's not the one." Erin, on the other hand, stood by his decision. In private conversations, he told friends he felt blindsided, that the relationship had always been about him and Tayana, and he wasn't ready to take on a role that came with legal strings attached. He claimed it wasn't about the kids personally, but about protecting himself from potential complications down the road. Still, the damage was done. The refusal wasn't just a disagreement. It was a statement, one that made Tayana question everything about their future. Could she really build a life with someone who wouldn't take that step? Would her kids always feel like they were on the outside looking in? The public started noticing other changes too. Tayana began posting more solo content, more pictures with her kids without Erin in the frame. Meanwhile, Erin was spotted out alone, smiling with friends, looking completely unbothered. The contrast was jarring, and fans couldn't stop talking about it. By now, everyone was asking the same question: is this the beginning of the end? Some sources close to the couple said they were in crisis talks, trying to figure out if there was a way to move forward. Others claimed they were already taking time apart, using the space to reassess what they wanted. What makes this even more complicated is that there's no easy villain here. This isn't the kind of story where one person is clearly right and the other is clearly wrong. For Tayana, love and family are inseparable. You can't have one without protecting the other. She's always seen commitment as more than just a promise. It's a responsibility, a sacred vow that you fight for no matter what storms hit. For Erin, it's different. He's not trying to be careless or cruel, but he's also not willing to give a promise he isn't ready to keep. To him, it's better to be brutally honest about his limits than to offer forever when he's still figuring out what that even means. The problem is, somewhere between those two truths lies a reality that neither of them may be able to live with. And with the world now watching, there's no way to navigate this quietly. Every post Tayana makes will be analyzed for hidden messages. Every time Erin steps outside, people will be reading his body language like it's a confession. Even a simple smile or an untagged photo could be spun into proof of where they stand. The only thing that's certain now is this: no matter what unfolds, their relationship can never return to the way it once was. Some moments change everything, and this was one of them. Once a line is drawn in the sand, it becomes a silent boundary that shapes every word, every glance, every choice. For Tayana, the question isn't just about whether Erin will ever step across that line. It's deeper than that. It's whether her heart can keep loving him if he chooses to stay on the other side, and whether she can live with that answer.